I ruined my family's life and I don't regret it. All names are changed. This all happened 10 years ago when I was 19. Around the holidays, I found out my then boyfriend Kevin was cheating on me with my older sister Jen. I was beyond devastated because Jen and I were really close and she was my role model. Not only that, but Kevin was honestly my first big love, so it was really crushing. Everything was made so much worse when my parents sided with Jen. She had always been a bit of the golden child, but my parents had never shown their favoritism to this extent. They kept telling me that these things happen, but family always forgives, and crap like that. It made me cry a lot, and I kept telling them that I couldn't forgive them. My dad told me to stop being so dramatic. My mom said I was a disappointment because she raised me better. Jen just said she was sorry, but she and Kevin really loved each other and they never meant to hurt me. I honestly just felt so alone and depressed and worthless. I was like a zombie for months. I mostly just slept and refused to talk to my sister. My parents kept telling me to move on because even if it hurt, Jen was still my sister and she was more important than some guy. Eventually, it was too much and I decided to end myself. I was so convinced that Kevin was the love of my life and I just couldn't get over how he betrayed me and how my family made me feel so alone and crazy. I wrote a very angry and depressing final note that talked about everything that had happened and scheduled it to be published on my Tumblr after I died. Fortunately, my roommate/best friend Alice found me after I overdosed on pills. I was unconscious for a while before I woke up. Then I was put into hold because I was still very obviously self-ending and was considered a danger to myself. I was in there for a while and only had contact with my grandparents since they were the only ones I wanted to talk to at a time. When I finally got to go home, it was my grandparents who picked me up and took me to their house. They are the reason why I'm still here right now, and I love them more than anything in the world. They put me in therapy, got my medication, and were with me the whole time. I never asked about my family and they never told me anything either. At the time, I just assumed they were mad at me for being dramatic. Then I got the real story from Alice a month later. Her then girlfriend had been angry on my behalf and shared my Tumblr post on our Facebook. She even tagged my parents, Jen, and Kevin and called them out. Her then girlfriend was also one of those people who had over 1,000 friends, so the post got shared, and my family and Kevin were attacked by family, friends, and strangers. It was a crap show. A lot of people called Jenny whore, and my parents heartless monsters. My mom was ostracized by her church. My dad's friends stopped talking to him. A lot of Jen's friends were disgusted by her behavior and ditched her. Kevin got backlash too because he lied to his super religious family that we had broken up amicably and said God guided him to Jen. My grandparents told my mom, their daughter, that she was dead to them for how much she and my family hurt me. They were the ones that forced my parents and Jen to back off and leave me alone and to never contact me until I reached out to them. But I never did because they were dead to me too. Jen and Kevin ended up breaking up after his parents sent him away to find Jesus again. I have no idea what became of him. Jen had to move to get away from everyone calling her a whore. I haven't spoken or even seen her in 10 years. Last I heard, she's got 3 kids from 2 different men and she's not with either of them. My parents became social outcasts and are now just homebodies. We rarely talk and it's all superficial. They missed my birthdays, my graduation, my engagement, and even my wedding. They won't be part of my child's life either. I know it hurts them. I tell people around me that I don't care about them or their feelings, which is true to an extent. But in reality, I'm glad. I'm glad they're hurting and suffering. I'm glad their lives suck and they're all unhappy. I shouldn't be, and I haven't told anyone, not even my therapist, how I actually feel about my family now. I know this is probably just my resentment and it's probably not healthy, but I can't help it. I almost ended myself over what they did, so it feels almost like karmic justice to see them hurting now. I even kind of hope they feel like how I've felt, alone and like no one cares about them. I'll tell my therapist one day, but I just wanted to say to the void for now. Now for the top comments. If destroying them gave you your sanity back, congratulations. Your grandparents sound great and loving. Spend as much time as you can with them. I'm glad you're enjoying life now. My grandparents are the best. I spend time with them as often as I can, and they've been a part of all my big milestones. You didn't ruin your family's life. They did that all on their own. I'm glad you have your grandparents in your corner. Your parents and sister, I can't even imagine how that must have felt. I'm glad you're at a better place in your life now, Opie. I wish you and your family the best. My grandparents have always been on my side. I'm lucky to have them. Sometimes, in regards to my immediate family, I want to ask if it was worth it. But thank you. I'm happier now than I've ever been. Your parents just didn't think you had a power to hurt their little perfect lives and went for the least resistance path. Let your ex be with your sister, otherwise, what would have other people thought? Well, you messed all of them up and showed them that you have the power to create your own path, and they had to put up with all their lies and crappy behavior. The best revenge is living a great life. Virtual hugs. Next story. My sister being abused by my ex-fiancé, but I don't care, and I won't be helping her. 5 years ago, my older sister Jess slept with my ex-fiancé John. It was one of those I've loved him for years situations for Jess, or so she claimed back then, so she took her shot to get with him, even as the mistress he hides away. And John? Well, he was mad back then because I didn't fight for our relationship. Suffice to say that when I found out they were screwing around, I mentally thought, wow, these people are pathetic. I had no intentions of fighting, arguing, begging, and never even cried now that I think about it. Even back then, I was a one-and-done kind of person. I cut my mother off for cheating on my dad. I cut off friends who cheated on their partners even when we were stupid kids. Cheating isn't a mistake. It takes me off thinking about it. Just crying and telling me, you have to understand, like I hadn't caught her screwing my fiancé in my bed in my condo. Or John yelling at me is saying, if you ever loved me, you'd fight for me, or cry for me, or do something. And then the most hilarious line of, maybe if you put out more, I wouldn't have strayed. And seriously, I was always the one initiating even before our engagement. And I had stopped bothering because he claimed his libido was lower than mine. I know for a fact that I'm a good lay, he just never wanted to put any effort in. And even if I hadn't been trying to have sex regularly, that is not an excuse to cheat. I tossed them out, packed up my crap, canceled everything but the honeymoon, and got refunds. I sent John's family their 25% contribution and security footage of John screwing my sister in the living room. It went back to the day he moved in, and the idiot probably forgot I had security cameras inside. And that was beyond petty, but despite how much his family loved me, I also knew that his doting father and grandmother would never believe John was capable of cheating on me without some kind of proof. I didn't need them harassing my family like they did others for lying about their family. I had also evicted John and then had an agent sell my condo while I turned my would-be honeymoon into a solo thank duck I'm free trip. And when I came back, I moved. Again, one and done kind of girl. Cheaters, liars, betrayers, and perverse jerks do not deserve forgiveness nor second chances. I learned that with my parents' situation. You give a second chance, they'll do it over and over again. Then scream, you said you forgave me, and I can't help it, it meant nothing, while victimizing themselves. It took my dad years to stop forgiving my mother, but I will never make that mistake. In 5 years, Jess and John got married because she was pregnant, moved into her apartment together, and now have 3 children, 4 male, 3 male, and newborn girl. They have no friends, no familial support beyond my mother. My dad is apparently involved with his grands but does not help financially, nor does he babysit or even let John into his house. I was visiting my dad when Jess showed up at his house in the middle of the night. She had her children with her, had a black eye, marks on her neck, and bruises on her arm. I was worried as my dad brought them all in. That worry disappeared the moment she said John got angry at her because I'm not Opie. She was blubbering about all the things John expected of her and how he essentially wanted her to be me, Little Miss Perfect, even though I'm the one that didn't want him. Dad tried to stop her multiple times, but I told her to keep going. Her tirade was how it should have been me he hated and hit, not her. That John lost his family because of me. They only have our mother as help because of me. That I didn't love him enough to fight or be with him no matter the circumstance like she did. That everything falling apart was on me, not her. And that she was sick of how I ran away and yet still managed to ruin her relationship with John. Even her wedding was all about how OP would have wanted this, and intimacy always ends with, sex with OP was better, you need to try harder. And apparently in Jess's eyes, John beating her for the first time was entirely on me. Wanna know why? Because her children look like our mother instead of me, who looks like my father. that even her children are treated like afterthoughts by John because he had hoped they'd get good genes. They only had another child because he wanted one to look like me, and that one doesn't either. And then, she said that maybe if I talked to John, things would get better for her. After all that, Dad pretty much told her that her kids will be staying with him, but she was on her own. Go to the police or your mother. Then she turns to me, begging me to convince him otherwise. Like, is she serious? You're in a situation of your own making. You're older than me, decided to screw a taken man, and then married him even after you claimed all he wanted was the woman that abandoned him. You're the one that was cut off from any viable support system by being an awful person. No one deserves to be mistreated, and I don't view it as karma, but Jess stopped being my sister the first time she slept with John. Someone that loves you would never show such blatant hate for you. That goes for both of them. Isn't it funny how once they get the dude, get married and have kids, it all falls apart? A relationship that starts as an affair is never truly healthy. They might stay together, but it is rarely a soulmate situation. By the way, if John was so into you, why didn't he fight for the relationship? Bystanders, at least back then, begging and arguing is how you fight for a relationship. He spent about 3 months doing and saying whatever to anyone dumb enough to listen, trying to get messages to me. And honestly, he got a lot of people cut off by me in the process. So beyond that, best way to keep a relationship is to not screw your partner over or just break up with them. At least you can be cordial afterwards. I'd say that she wanted him and she got him. Congratulations. What a prize. Nope, it's not your mess to clean up. Exactly. She made her bed. Now she has to lie in it. Not your responsibility. Last story. I told on my mom's married boyfriend and ruined my life. My mother started having an affair with a married man, Bruce, over 10 years ago. My dad left her over it, but she stayed with Bruce with a promise of him divorcing his wife soon. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. After 10 plus years of knowing my mother was the other woman, and after stalking Bruce's wife's socials, I couldn't take it anymore. He's a creepy man that no one in my family can stand, including my 3 other siblings. We've been tasked all these years to keep her dirty secret and treat Bruce as if he's not an adulterer. I took one for the team and sent some anonymous emails out to some contacts I found through social media. Bruce's wife responded to me and asked to speak, as she had no idea any of this was going on, which I highly suspected despite Bruce's lies all these years, so I sat down and phoned her. We talked for almost 3 hours. She's a nice woman who was nothing but kind to me. She's been married to Bruce for 30 years and had no idea he had a double life. His job allows him to travel frequently. I answered all her questions. During this convo though, I knew my relationship with my mother was over. I knew the details would get back to her and would pinpoint to me. Bruce's wife thanked me over and over and shared she would be divorcing Bruce once she got her finances in order. It was a very emotional conversation, and I'll never forget the sound of her cries as I told her all the details. The next day, I was completely cut off from my mother. I had no way of contacting her, and shortly after that, the harassment of members of my family came flooding in. Messages of disgust towards me and support towards my mother. Everyone turned on me and will no longer speak to me. I can't imagine she's telling them the truth of what I did. I told on her married boyfriend. I'm shocked my family has chosen her side and abandoned me. Sometimes regret washes over me, but in the end, all I did was speed up the inevitable. And I did it for my siblings who couldn't stand his presence anymore. I thought I would get rid of him, but it backfired. Not only are Bruce and my mother getting married, my siblings chose her side and have cut me off. This weighs heavy on my chest. It did for the last 10 years, and now because of what I did, it will continue. Thanks for reading and letting me get it out. Now for the comments. You did the right thing. Although you maybe should have anticipated this would speed up the process on Bruce and his wife getting a divorce. Your mother got what she wanted in the end, so she should be thanking you. For the best, though, she broke up your family by her selfish actions and chose a crappy man over her kids. You probably would have ended up going no contact with her anyways. True. Not sure why mom's so upset about this all being exposed. Like, girly, you've been with a married man for 10 plus years. Clearly you aren't that ashamed. Wait, why is she mad? If you didn't tell, the adulterer would still be married, and would it be marrying your mom? Shouldn't she be thanking you? Unless he never intended to marry your mom and even she knows this. Lol. I'm willing to bet mom is mad because Bruce stands to lose a lot of assets and will possibly have to pay alimony. Hard to say for sure, since we don't know the details of Bruce's marriage. But money's the only thing I can imagine being the reason he didn't leave his wife earlier, and why mom would be so mad. I'm no legal expert, but this is my best guess. Bingo. That's exactly it. Plus, most places, if you're married for longer than 10 years, it would guarantee the wife lifetime alimony as long as she doesn't remarry. Plus, the fact that if she's smart and hires a forensic accountant, any money spent on your mom and family in the last decade is considered marital property and she's entitled to half of it. So if you bought your mom a house, cars, whatever, they will be forced to sell. And or he'll have to pony up that amount during the divorce proceedings. Plus, if they have children together still at home, that's also child support. Dude basically stands to lose everything, and no doubt I wouldn't be surprised if the change in lifestyle causes your mom to look for another suitor. Did it really ruin your life though? I mean, if members of your family are harassing you and supporting your mother because you told your mom's boyfriend's wife that he's been cheating on her for the last 10 years with your mom, then I think that there are trash people who aren't worth your time. You aren't wrong. It's just hard to have everyone hate me so abruptly. Edit. Thank you to all the supportive comments. I have a few people in my corner rooting for me, but these comments have been comforting and therapeutic. The number of family that turned on me, I truly started to worry I was the problem and made a mistake. To answer some questions, money is a huge factor in all of this, which is why my mother/siblings are so angry and not thanking me. I am my mother's oldest daughter. Only my youngest sibling lives with her. We are all adults. I have 2 young children my mother has thrown to the curb for Bruce. They will never know who she is. I am in contact with a wife. She is a lovely woman who is aware of how this unfolded and has been so kind to me. I like to think in another life we would be friends. I've spent a lot of time putting together proof for her so she can get what she deserves out of the divorce. Keeping in touch with the wife angered Bruce and my mother, so much so they told my family I was harassing the wife. That fueled the fire more for my family to hate me. To the few that have commented I should have minded my own business, I wish this never was my business. What a laugh. I, 28 female, made a joke with my husband, 29 male, and it's costing me my marriage with a man I truly love. How do I fix it? I created this account a few minutes ago because I need advice. A joke I made is spiraling out of control, and I'm losing the man I truly love over it. My husband and I have been married for 4 years, and I love him with everything I have. I can't see a life without him. Some of my girlfriends convinced me to try a prank they've done on their husbands or boyfriends, telling them you want a breakup or a divorce. I thought it was cruel and never wanted to do it, especially to someone I love, but they kept pestering me because I was the only one out of the 5 of us who hadn't done it yet. They shared how their partners reacted afterward, and I stupidly gave in. So I did it last week, and my husband's reaction was nothing like I expected. I thought he would try to talk me out of it or suggest ways to make things work, like my friends' partners had done, but he didn't. We were having dinner and watching a movie when I told him, I'm not happy anymore, and I think we should get a divorce. He looked at me for a few seconds, and I swear, something broke in his eyes. He got up, went to our bedroom, and within 10 minutes, came out with a packed bag and walked out without saying a word. I tried to stop him, especially after seeing him with his bag packed. And I told him it was just a joke and that I didn't mean it. But he brushed me off and walked out. Since then, I've tried to reach him through messages, calls, emails, and video chats, but he isn't answering. I even talked to his friends, but none of them will tell me where he is. When they do respond, it's to say they don't want to get involved. I went to his workplace, but they refused to let me in. And his parents and siblings have refused to get involved too. His sister sent me one message. Joke or not, you really messed up. I've sent countless messages explaining that it was just a joke, even including screenshots of my conversations with my friends as proof. But he's ignored all of it. My friends haven't been any help. They just tell me to give him time and that he'll get over it. Yesterday, everything came crashing down when I was served with actual divorce papers. It felt like someone punched me in the face, and I was and still am in so much pain. I tried desperately to reach him, but all I got back was a message saying he has nothing to say and that I should speak to his lawyer. How can I get the man I love back? I don't want to lose him. I know I made a stupid mistake, and now it's tearing my world apart. Edit, I've already had questions in my DMs about this. To clarify, we didn't have any issues that I was aware of. We were laughing and having fun together all day. There was no recent fight or distance between us. Everything felt perfect. Now for the top advice. The joke is basically telling your partner you want to break up or that you want a divorce. What the actual That is not a joke. You did something spectacularly stupid and are facing the consequences for it. It honestly looks like your female friends know how ridiculously gullible you are and knew exactly how this would blow up in your face. They did it with their partners and nothing like this happened to any of them. According to them, it actually made their partners more attentive and affectionate towards them. So it wasn't a joke. It was a manipulation tool. I can see that. Be honest, this was never a joke. You just wanted to use those words to control him. No, I would never want to control him. I can see why you would think this way, but I was really just joking. Are you really 28? Because this is the stupidest, cruelest, most childish prank I've ever heard of. It seems extremely unlikely that you haven't been able to tell him you were joking. Regardless, that's all you can do. And if he still wants to divorce you because you thought hurting him would be fun, well, fool around and find out. I did tell him it was a joke. I even sent screenshot of my chat with my friends as proof that it was a joke and not me backtracking now. But he isn't responding. Then he probably doesn't want to be married to someone who would hurt him on purpose just to have a laugh. Why didn't you follow him right after he left to the room to pack his things? I didn't know he was packing. I don't know what I thought, but it wasn't that he was packing his things. Next story. Thinking about not attending my brother's wedding because of his fiance's prank on my husband. I'm 25 female and my husband is 30 male. Recently, my brother 32 male and his fiance 31 female came to visit us in our city. My partner and I are new homeowners, so this was their first time staying with us. For some context, my brother's fiance is very into Halloween and considers herself a Disney adult. She has a childlike side and often gets absorbed in her interests. I mention this because I genuinely think what happened was her getting carried away, but she sees it as a personal attack. This disagreement led my husband to cut their visit short. In other words, they were asked to leave. Since meeting him, my brother's fiancé has repeatedly said that my husband has a dark vibe. She often compares him to characters in her books, saying it's a compliment, though I'm not so sure anymore. Her comments are based on his looks, his general vibe, and the fact that he has a hand tattoo. During this visit, she mentioned wanting to see someone like him get scared, as she couldn't picture him being startled or screaming. She set out to make scaring him her goal during her stay, but none of us, including my brother, knew about it. The incident that caused all the trouble happened when he tried to jump scare my husband in our dark garage. She hid in a full costume and mask, waiting to ambush him when he came home from a run. But instead of screaming, he instinctively pushed her away, not realizing who it was. She hit her head on the wall and was clearly shaken up. Thankfully, he realized right away from her reaction that it wasn't an intruder. He turned on the light, removed her mask, and helped her inside, apologizing, making her tea, and calling me. I was out with my brother. When we got home, I asked her if she was okay, and said that the prank was a bad idea. It could have seriously hurt her. She responded by crying, saying my husband used excessive force and must have known it was her just playing a harmless prank. Then my husband calmly asked, "Are you saying I intentionally assaulted you?" She hesitated, but then said yes, to which he replied, "Get out of my house." I tried to smooth things over, but my husband was firm that if she truly believed he'd hurt her on purpose, she wasn't welcome to stay. She chose to stand by her accusation, so I sided with my husband. Now my brother is angry, saying I should have done more to calm things down and convinced my husband to apologize and placate his fiancée while she recovered from the situation. He thinks this would have all blown over if I had helped my husband back down. I find this unfair, especially since my brother didn't say anything to his fiancée or try to reason with her during the discussion. My husband remained calm throughout, but he clearly felt insulted by her remarks, which I think is valid. Why should I have sided with my brother's fiancée over my husband, especially when I feel she crossed a line and then accusing him of wanting to hurt her? My brother says I was short-sighted and should consider their upcoming wedding. But I think he should be the one urging his fiancée to apologize to my husband. If she hadn't hidden in the dark garage in the hooded costume, none of this would have happened. There's no way he would have known in the moment that it was her, and I believe anyone would have a similar reaction. Frankly, she's lucky she was not hurt more than she was. There is a direct cause-effect here, yet she's not accepting responsibility. I think her behavior falls into the play stupid games category. Your husband doesn't have anything to apologize for, and it's offensive for them to try to obfuscate her responsibility. Not a-hole. Exactly this. It's one thing to come out of a closet into a well-lighted room, and completely another to jump someone in a dark garage. She's lucky he didn't break her nose or her jaw. I live in Oklahoma. She's lucky she didn't get shot. Texas here. Getting shot is a real possibility. That's beyond stupid on her part. I can guarantee you that I will not be attacked again. Not funny. She seems inappropriately fixated on OP's husband. Why was she even pranking him to begin with? Do they normally have a jokey banter? This is just so bizarre, and I don't understand her thought process. What exactly did she expect would happen? He would push her up against a wall, pull off her mask, and take her right there? This isn't a dark romance novel. Jesus, that's her brother-in-law. I don't understand either. My husband has no banter with her. They don't have much of a rapport. All her impressions about him are just superficial ones she's made. She doesn't even know him. But she's the type of person who believes she is really good at reading people and convinces herself she's figured them out and what kind of person they are. She has tried guessing things about him in the past, and she gets them wrong because she is basing him off her assumptions. I am sure she does this with other people she meets too. Next story. My 24 female boyfriend 24 male wants to move in together, but after we went on a trip I don't want to. How do I tell him? We've been together for a year, but we've only spent 1 or 2 continuous nights together due to our busy schedules. My boyfriend wants me to move in with him ASAP, and I initially told him I would consider it in a few months. However, we recently went on a trip and I saw a side of him that really turned me off. My boyfriend has a habit of making hurtful jokes, especially about appearances. I feel bad saying this, but he's in no position to make comments on anyone's appearance. He's pretty overweight, although I've never mentioned it because I don't care. While I was getting ready for dinner, he started joking about my arms, calling them massive and comparing me to Popeye. This hit a nerve, as I am fit and muscular, and I already worry about looking masculine. I started to cry because I felt so insecure. Instead of comforting me, he walked out of the hotel room, slammed the door, and said, "When you're ready, I'll be downstairs." Later we talked and he told me he was mad that I was upset, saying I can't take a joke, and that he's sick of having to watch everything he says around me. In the end, he promised not to make negative comments about my appearance anymore. But just 2 hours later, while looking at photos, he said, "Wow, your makeup was actually messed up today." His behavior on a flight home was also disturbing. During a 5-hour flight, he ordered tons of food, left a mess everywhere, and expected me to dig through the overhead bin for his AirPods. When I said I didn't feel like waking up the guy next to me just to look for them, he rolled his eyes and turned away from me. The final straw was his reaction to the flight attendant. She was giving clear instructions to buckle seat belts and turn phones to airplane mode, but he ignored her, busy uploading selfies on Instagram. When I asked him to follow her instructions, he flipped out, saying, "Why do you have to tick me off all the time? You're not my mother. I'll do whatever I please." Embarrassed, I snapped back, "Well, stop acting like a child then." He replied, "No, you are the child. You don't know anything." At that point, I just closed my eyes and tried to sleep, holding back tears. About 10 minutes later, he tried to hold my hand and told me, "You know I love you. I'll always love you. My heart belongs to you." Throughout the trip, everything seemed to be about what he wanted. One day, I suggested we do our own thing, and he agreed. We were apart for just 8 hours, but he called me several times, asking what I was doing. When we met up again, he told me he missed me and worried about me. For me, it was the complete opposite. Without him, I felt peace. Despite all of this, he's always kissing and cuddling me, telling me he loves me. When I got home after the trip, he said he was so sad to go home without me and wishes we lived together. However, his behavior on this trip has completely turned me off from the idea of moving in with him. How do I tell him I don't want to move in right now? I know this will hurt him, but after seeing this side of him, I'm not sure living together is the right choice. Now for the top comments. You should be breaking up with him, not worried about how to tell him you don't want to live with him. Good thing she doesn't live with him. It will make breaking up with him so much easier. That's why he wants her to move in. He can't even mask his BS long enough to get his hooks in. He is that bad. Without him, I felt peace. You know what to do. He's affectionate, so you'll feel confused and give him the benefit of the doubt. And then he can keep being dreadful. Yep, this was the line for me. OP, bite the bullet and dump him. Do not move in with him. He is disrespectful and abusive. He wants everything on his terms. You know the relationship is over when you're happier if the other person is gone. OP, your life could be blissful. P gave you the ick. Going on holidays with a partner can either make or break the relationship. I think it's broken yours. If you move in with this guy, that will be your life. Disrespect and belittling you. He has shown you who he is. You know what his reaction will be already. He will get angry, storm off, gaslight, and love bomb you to try and get you to change your mind. I don't think you'll be able to just tell him, "I don't want to move in," without it ending the relationship. And to be honest, I don't see a future for you with this man-child. Thank you for your reply. Yes, that's how I would describe it. I got the ick majorly, haha. He has told me before, if we ever break up, I think I would get major depression and go back to his home country. Honestly, after these replies, I think I'll start planning my exit. Last story. Am I the a-hole for abandoning my husband after his surgery to go on vacation with my family? A month ago, my husband and I had a disagreement that's still causing a lot of issues with my family, so I'm hoping for some outside perspectives. I'm a 32-year-old woman, married to my husband, who is 34 for 5 years now. 3 years ago, I got pregnant with our first child, and we were both thrilled to become parents. The pregnancy, however, was really tough on me. I had extreme morning sickness and was constantly exhausted. Before my due date, I talked with my husband about wanting to stay at our home after giving birth. In my country, it's common for new mothers to go to their family's home for help with a baby, but I didn't want to. I have a complicated relationship with my father and wouldn't have felt comfortable around my brother in such a vulnerable state. While I love my family, it just didn't feel right. I felt it was my husband's responsibility as the baby's father to take care of both the baby and me, and he agreed. So, we prepared our house for the baby and set things up for guests. My mom agreed to come stay with us, and his mom also offered to help. But after I gave birth, my husband drove me to my family's house, saying he thought it would be better if I stayed near my mom and sister, as they could care for me better than he could. We stayed at my parents' house for a month, and during that time, he only visited us 3 times. I felt humiliated and ashamed. I had to deal with leaky breasts, stitches, and a crying baby while staying in my old bedroom, which I shared with my sister. My family tried to help, but being a private person, all I wanted was to go back to my home and have my husband by my side. I later found out he's gone on a trip with his friends to Dubai. Fast forward to a month ago, my husband fell ill for 2 days, and his pain worsened, so I drove him to the hospital. He needed an appendectomy and spent 2 days there. I stayed with him the whole time, but when he was discharged, I took him to his parents' house instead of ours, telling him his mother could care for him better than I could. Then, I took our child and went to join my family in another city, where they were spending the summer. When I told my family, they expressed disappointment, saying, "That's not how we raised you. You don't abandon your husband when he needs you most." My in-laws were furious, and my sister even suggested that I should have left the baby with him as well. After a week, I came back to our home and he returned 2 weeks after his surgery. Since then, he's been giving me the silent treatment and has been sleeping in the living room. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. What was he expecting? You gave him a taste of what he gave you, which was nothing. His behavior was worse because there were different plans. The opinions of other family members are irrelevant. Phew, that double standard is real. She matched energy. Was it petty? Yep. Did he deserve it? Yes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Not the a-hole.